And an update tonight on a CBC News investigation that generated a lot of reaction about how debt collectors operate. Now, one of the largest agencies in the country has been hit with a fine. But for some Canadians, that doesn't go far enough. Our senior investigative correspondent, Diana Swain, has the latest.
A company named I-Corps, operating out of offices around the country, came to our attention last year when we first investigated collection agencies. We discovered hundreds of complaints had been lodged across the country over harassing phone calls by I-Corps, sometimes to relatives of people who owed debt, sometimes to those who simply had similar names, neither of which is allowed. One of those complaints was from Robert Buisson in Laval, Quebec, who said the company called him at all hours of the day, trying to collect on a phone bill.
At first, I told them that I'm not the guy who owns this account. This account is owned by my father first. And where did you get my phone number?
In fact, his father didn't owe the money either. In an email to CBC News at the time, I-Corps wrote, "It takes seriously any call placed to a wrong number and regrets the inconvenience caused to any consumer as a result." Now, CBC News has learned the CRTC has levied a $500,000 fine against I-Corps for numerous automated calls made last year.
They called consumers repeatedly who owed no debt at all, or they called vulnerable consumers in dire financial difficulty at all hours, and they did not identify on whose behalf they were calling.
Large as it is, the fine actually highlights what some see as a bigger problem. The CRTC can fine a company, in this case I-Corps, for the way it uses telecommunications equipment, such as automated calls. But Canadians have a wide range of other complaints about collection agencies.
Such as Dave Johnson of Pembroke, Ontario, whom we profiled earlier this month. A collection agency helped ruin his credit rating over an unpaid phone bill and refused to accept that they had the wrong Dave Johnson. He says it took 3 years to get his credit rating restored.
It's so frustrating. Go around and around in circles, and instead of anything being resolved, repaired, your credit's destroyed. How's your day so far?
A Canadian consumers advocacy group says harassing calls from collection agencies have increased in the past decade as telecoms have outsourced their bill collection practices. John Lawford thinks the CRTC needs to put the onus back on the phone companies.
The phone companies originally had something of a duty to keep you on the network and to try to work out a payment deal with you, whereas collection agencies aren't known for wanting to work out a payment schedule with you. They're known for harassing you.
I know that there are stories out there, horror stories.
Canada's industry minister says it may be time to consider what Ottawa can do to address consumers' complaints.
It certainly might be something that a parliamentary committee might be a useful use of their time to look into it.
I-Corps has up to 60 days to appeal the fine and in an email suggested it may. Diana Swain, CBC News, Toronto.